Hey there, have you ever seen a birth photograph or watched a video and wondered what in the world is that person doing? Well, the answer is likely they are practicing a labor position or comfort measure. And if you don't know what that is, I'm here to help. My name is Victoria Wilson. I am a certified birth doula, and part of my practice is to create resources to help you, parents and professionals, better navigate the birth space and have a birth outcome that is wonderful for everyone in your family. So, this is going to be a clip of a longer form video that's available in my shop showing you how you can make some of those comfort measures and labor positions happen in a hospital setting. I hope you
Epidural or not,
enjoy.
whether you're hooked up to IVs for one reason or another or not, I think everyone can benefit from some kind of movement in labor. So I've categorized movement into three, I guess, categories, three groups. And let's go through those. The first is just on 2 feet. So that would be stuff like you're walking, dancing, or slow dancing when you're hanging on to your partner, a supported squat, or lunging. So anytime you're just on 2 feet, that's kind of this group we'll talk about. And I've got some pictures here. A quick note is I am going to be using pictures from my own practice. So I know in some ways they might kind of look very similar. I'm in them, or it's photos either from kind of my births or the births I have supported as a doula. So I know they all look very similar, but I just wanted to make sure I could share with you photos where I knew what was happening. So you see in this case, we got moms in all kinds of positions. We have a mom who's kind of holding on to her partner. On the left-hand side, there's a midwife in that purple shirt looking on. I'm doing some pressure on her back, which we'll talk about in comfort measures. But you see, she's kind of on 2 feet. She would kind of hang on to him like that. Sometimes she would do more of a slow dance hold, which is like what the center couple is showing really beautifully. I just love how intimate and tender labor can be. And then another way might be the mom on the far right. You see again with me behind her, I'm helping her on her back, give her some pain relief there, massaging. But you see, she's actually on a birth ball, leaning over. She's got her water and her ice there. And this was a labor where she did need to be hooked up for lots of reasons. So even though you see she's got an IV there, she has monitors on, we're still up and out of the bed. And then the bottom, of course, is the mom walking the masker, because this was during the coronavirus pandemic. So you can see even in that, we managed to get ourselves out of the room and walking around, helping do some pelvic opening positions. The next we're going to talk about is all fours. So that would be things like squatting, leaning, or kneeling in more instead of an upright leaning, kind of more of like an over leaning. Pelvic rocks and open knee chest, which I'll talk about in a second. These are some all fours positions. Now, I know what you might be thinking, not all of these hands are on the floor, but this idea is the same. So work with me as we kind of go through the movements here. The first one on the top left is me leaning over a birth ball. You can imagine if the birth ball wasn't there, my hands would be planted on the floor. I was just using the ball because this is like 2 a.m. and I'm tired, but you can see how that would work in either direction. If my hands were on the floor, it would be easier to do some pelvic rocks where you kind of are lifting your pelvis up and down, just jiggling things around, getting comfortable, helping move baby. I really love this picture on the top right. The mom in the red robe, she actually has an epidural placed. It's the same idea as the birth ball though. You'll notice that we've got the bed raised. She really does have an epidural right now. So there's 2 people stabilizing her, just making sure she's comfortable and good. It's that same idea, that really over leaning. The difference of standing upright and kind of slightly leaning over versus being like on your knees on kind of an all fours position leaning over. It's just that gravity gives you a little more help when you're totally over, and helping that big old baby head to pull down, head down, face down, in that ideal position for birth. Then on the bottom, again, this is me using a squat bar. Squat bars are available in most hospitals, but if you kind of use your imagination, you can picture how this might work on any piece of furniture, maybe a table, maybe a couch or a chair in the hospital. You can kind of prop the elbows up and get in that squat position. You could be having a partner hold you. So there's lots of ways to configure this, but again, if my hands were down, you can kind of picture how that's kind of an all fours with a squat, which is why it's included here. And then finally, on that bottom left is open knee chest, which is a Spinning Babies move. So I would defer you to spinningbabies.com for how and when to use this technique. It is a little specific, so you want to make sure you know what you're doing and you're using it in the right setting for the right reasons. But Gail Tully, who's pictured there, is the Spinning Babies creator. So she has kind of codified a lot of these kind of fancy positions moms can get in to help labor progress. I would highly recommend their resources in general, but head to spinning babies for kind of more on that particular all fours position. Now let's talk about comfort measures. Childbirth Connection defines this as just measures that can ease labor pain, whether directly or indirectly. So I've got 4 main ones that I use almost without fail in every labor. The first would be hydrotherapy. So that can look like a stationary tub, like here. That can be an inflatable tub, a shower. And resting or active just means, like you see here, this mom is just really resting through contractions. It can also be used actively. So if you're really moving around, it can just be used for any stage. One note with the hydrotherapy is people kind of generally will recommend not to use it until you're in really established active labor. It can slow things down if you get too relaxed and comfortable, but I don't always think that's a bad thing. In my experience, if a person is really focused on getting in the tub or getting in the shower, as I've seen it, that's almost always only helped them. And, especially in late labor or late pregnancy, when you're having like Braxton Hicks contractions, prodromal labor even, this is a recommendation to kind of stop that, to kind of test out, is this labor that's going to progress to a baby, or is it going to just kind of be a little practice round? The tub will either kind of really start hiking into gear or stop. So I don't know. I'm just kind of, I don't really believe in telling people it's not okay for them to do something in labor if they feel like they need to do it. So I would say use a tub, although you could get that recommendation. If it's really slow starting, they may not recommend it, but in my view, if it slows it down, you need to rest, take your rest, and then we'll get back at it. There are some barriers in the hospital setting to hydrotherapy. Monitoring is the primary one, especially if something like Pitocin is being used, like if you are in an induction situation or your labor is being artificially sped up by Pitocin. I've noticed that it's very difficult to get monitoring because with Pitocin in particular, with any medication where we need to watch the baby's reaction to it, it can be difficult to monitor in a tub situation, but there's a solution. There are wireless monitors. There are waterproof monitors. It's just, unfortunately, most hospitals don't provide them. So there are some workarounds. You can talk to your providers beforehand about that. You can really ask and advocate, hey, I noticed, we have a lot of, maybe this is true for where you're going to be having a baby or supporting someone have a baby. Maybe you say, I know we do a lot of inductions. I think moms would be really helped if we could get some monitoring that could be waterproof so they can be in the tub to help with that pain and the contractions. You can also always stop Pitocin. This is something I think not enough people take advantage of. It is possible to turn off Pitocin. Takes about, I think, 20 or 30 minutes tops to kind of totally get out of the system. So once the Pitocin is not running, you can be off the monitor because you don't need to watch the baby all the time. So you could always stop Pitocin in the middle of a labor, get in the tub, and then come back to it. That's tons of options. You just need to know it's possible and ask.
Well, what did you think about the clip? If you learned a lot and want more where that came from, just tap the links in the description or in the video to head to the Motherwell Doula shop, and you can purchase the full course for a really affordable price. I tried to make these bite-sized so you can watch them quickly, learn a lot, and you don't have to break the bank to do it. So I hope we'll see you there, and thanks so much for watching this video.